Hi, everyone. Thanks for coming back. This is Ken Shoulders number 35. And today we have a very, very special guest, Dr. Ryan Wood, he's the son of Dr. Robert Wood, who was the main editor of William Tompkins' books called Selected by Extraterrestrials. So, hi, Ryan. How's it going?
It's going great. I'm, suitably engaged in energy stuff. I mean, I'm sort of done with crash retrievals, which was my specialty, and
Oh, wow.
Majestic 12 documents, which are I'm still advocating for
Yep.
in in quite a bit of robustness. But I'm over that. I'm It's all about energy production and understanding gravity control
Yep.
of which is free energy.
Yeah, it goes hand in
Uh,
hand. Yep.
so man-made craft is sort of my next thing, along with the how to tap the zero point. What can shoulders charge clusters work? How does gravity control work? I
Yep.
mean, these are and how fusion works, which is my day job as the
Yes, I
CEO
saw
of
that
Electric
today.
Fusion.
I saw that today. You're
Yeah,
the CEO of Electric Fusion, is that the?
that's correct.
Yeah, tell me more about that. I saw that today and I just blown away.
Yeah, well, electric fusion is focused on putting fusion in a roller bag, well, and a neutronic fusion without neutrons, radiation free. Um, and there's only two or three types of reactions that can do that, either proton boron 11, which is what Helion Energy is working on,
Okay.
or um, proton lithium, which is what we are working on. Uh,
Okay.
but proton lithium is widely perceived as being much harder to do than um, other approaches. But what they don't understand is that we use lithium ammonia in a liquid dense form, which has a massive amount of solvated free electrons.
Okay.
Um, Solvated electrons is something you can look up on Wikipedia and so forth. So it's a um, quantum electron fluid. So it is totally sort of outside the mainstream of fusion, which is probably its challenge, but it offers the hope of doing um, super low cost fusion because the
Wow.
fuel, this lithium ammonia, is basically free. I mean, it's
Oh,
no deuterium, no tritium,
yeah.
no uh, radioactive walls. I mean, all the baggage of traditional fusion is wiped away,
Yeah.
and that's the provided it works. I mean, I'm not claiming
That's
we've done
incredible.
fusion on the tabletop, but we're not announcing more fusion gain yet. So anyway, that's a short answer to your question.
I have a question. Do you, and obviously you probably know about the Pius patents and the compact fusion reactor that was released by the Navy.
Yeah, it was. Mhm.
Yeah. So the thing about that is that Chris Beskar, the CEO of Stevati Aerospace, worked with Pete Peterson at Area 51 on that technology of charge clusters and how to focus them, essentially.
Mm.
That's the deal. And I have understanding, Chris Beskar and David Wilcock, who's the advanced director of technology at Stevati, I've got contact with, both had a direct meeting with Trump on October 30th of 2020 when he was still president, when they bought the Stevati facility in Niagara Falls, New York. And thing about Stevati is it was kept secret for about 30, almost 30 years. And it's much like Lockheed Skunk Works and Kelly Johnson. And it was kept secret. And I was actually the person that brought Chris out to the public, essentially, because of my contact directly with him and David Wilcock over the course of the last 4 years and whatnot. So basically, I guess what I'm trying to say is that technology was actually developed by Chris and Pete Peterson and possibly Ken Shoulders. I asked Chris if Ken Shoulders had ever been to Area 51, and he didn't really answer me the way that I thought he was going to. So maybe, maybe not. I'm going to still try and pin him down. I've had 5 interviews with him, and we actually had him in this group not long ago, so it's actually 6. And in the near future, both Chris Beskar and John Hutchison have agreed to come onto my channel together so that we can talk about Ken Shoulders, because John Hutchison, even though he worked for DARPA and did all these things, did not know about Stavati Aerospace because it was classified. So again, I'm the one saying, hey, you guys need to talk, because Ken Shoulders was in a business arrangement with Chris Beskar and Stavati Aerospace, with Ken Shoulders, to use his patents for all the technology that Stavati is going to bring out and is bringing out, essentially. So Stavati is like Lockheed Skunk Works on steroids. And the really cool thing about it is that Chris Beskar himself was mentored by Kelly Johnson at Area 51. Mm. Remember also that Kelly Johnson was the man that found Area 51 and had the facility built to test the U-2 spy plane. And
I think it was built before then, but
actually, yeah, I think you're right about that, because there was an underground facility first with the Navy, I think. But that's kind of the story that they talk about when they talk about it in Secrets in the Sky, I think it's called. There's a documentary on it and whatnot. So Chris was actually mentored by Kelly Johnson, and it shows up in his SM-39 Razor fighter that he's going to be building, which is Mach 4 Plus, and essentially like an SR-71 design, modernized essentially with special materials and whatnot. Titanium diboride is the actual the material that they're using for the actual plane. It's used inside the engines and whatnot. In a crazy kind of coincidence, my best friend's father flew those airplanes for Kelly Johnson. So I have a kind of a connection back to that stuff.
Yeah, the only thing that bugs me about this Navy patent is that it was submitted, it was never reviewed, it was never granted. It is not a valid accepted patent by the U.S. Patent Office.
Ooh.
And so that's the hard truth, is that some patent examiner said this is bullshit. It's not even classified or became a classified patent. So, I mean, I find it interesting, but at the same time, I'm skeptical that it even works.
Well, here's the thing. Both Chris Beskar and Paul LaViolette, because I had contact with him before he passed away, yeah, the patent, Chris has called them patent trolls by putting it out. He didn't like the patents at all either. The real technology, again, was developed by Chris and Pete Peterson and maybe Ken Shoulders at Area 51, where it's all about charge clusters and how to focus them, essentially, right? And create.
Yeah, well, that's pretty easy. You just use a magnetic field. If you want to do, keep them going, you can add a little radiation or a little UVC light, or I mean, there's a lot of ways to stabilize put it in a vacuum. I mean,
counter rotating, I think, is the key to that focusing as well, too, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of ways of doing it. I'm just surprised that nobody's made a working energy device that I'm aware of using those principles.
Yeah.
So
I know that the compact fusion reactor, I have a chart that's kind of connected to Trump and Jacera and the money, the quantum financial systems and whatnot. And on that chart, it says that compact fusion reactor is going to be released about 2030. So what that means, I don't know exactly, but I suspect that by that point, Stavati will have brought out the real thing and said, here, this is how it works. And because the pious patents are not, like you said, they're not even functional or real. perhaps, maybe they are, maybe they're not. But the technology, again, and that's part of my job talking about Stavati, was developed by Chris. Chris, when he was first introduced to me by David Wilcock, he said, "This is the premier builder of spacecraft in the world." And one thing that Chris said in, I think, the last interview was, he said, if the extraterrestrials land on the White House lawn today, tomorrow Stavati will be in the spacecraft business. So this leads into Solar Warden, and this is your specialty for sure with your
Yeah,
father and
I'm sort
everything,
of
right?
my commentary about ET's landing is uh, they don't want to do that. They can do that anytime they want,
Yeah,
and humanity's not ready for it. My attitude is when you feed everybody, you get rid of your nukes and you clean up the climate and you stop your wars, maybe by 2050 or 2060, we'll let you join the cosmic kindergarten.
yeah. I
Um, and sort of, so disclosure is not going to happen even if they try really hard.
think it's going to
It's
take a
it's going
while.
to be it's not going to happen, in my opinion. So, um, and as for Solar Warden and that whole breakthrough in gravity and a spin-off, I think that's probably pretty likely. Um, but the question is, who did it? When did the gravity breakthrough happen? Was it 58, 59,
Frank
60?
Chile talks about it. You know Frank Chile, right?
I do.
Yeah, he talks about Westinghouse. It was the G Boys at Westinghouse, and I think 58 is approximately right. That's when they cracked Maxwell's equations, essentially. And yeah, it was the G Boys at Westinghouse that Frank
Well,
talks
that's,
about. Yeah,
yeah. I mean, I'm in favor of George Scott Trimble Jr. At the Glenn L. Martin Company, um, and later Martin Marietta, and then Lockheed Martin,
yep,
um, as being the uh, somebody that knows a lot about, or he's dead now, but um, certainly the people like Nick Cook in the book Hunt for Zero Point, who interviewed him,
yep,
got the cold shoulder, despite having impressive introductions to him, as well as Tom Valone got shut
yep.
down in conversations with him.
Tom's part of
Um,
this group, actually. He's in the
yeah,
Starburst Foundation.
yeah, and
Yeah,
there's other people too.
yeah,
So
yeah. Um, I was going to
What
talk, I
what
was just
what do you
before you
say
came
about
on,
what do you say about Tom Ballon? What did you
uh,
what
I was just saying that Tom is part of the Starburst
I was
Foundation.
asking what was Ryan
Oh,
saying about Tom Ballon?
Oh, Tom Valone called George Trimble before he passed away
Mm-hmm.
and asked him about um, gravity control and what the Glenn L. Martin Company had done, and in that sort of um, context. I mean, he's retired
Mm-hmm.
at this point, and um, and was completely shut down and said, "I'm not going to talk about that in any way, shape, or form." Um, so it's just two people that had the same reaction. But my attitude is, well, go find their children, go find their grandchildren,
yeah,
go interview them.
that's
Who's
a
got
great
his
point.
FBI file? Go get that. Find all his peers in the
Yep,
scientific papers,
yep,
and begin. I mean, I could go spend 100 grand just researching that one man who I think is the linchpin of gravity control and the secret sauce.
wow,
Um, and that's, fundamentally one of the core problems of ufology. And this topic is credibility, leadership, and money being the key driver
yeah,
of, nobody's got any money to spend on anything. Um, and that's the challenge. So, um,
yeah. I was going to tell you a little bit about my background. I the Cuban Missile Crisis, there were three people that were very influential. My father was part of NORAD during the Cuban Missile Crisis. He was a radar guy in the high Arctic. And my best friend's father, like I said, he flew the spy planes. He was part of it as well. But there was another guy, his name is Deacon Erdick. And Deacon was like NORAD, but he was on the Russian side. So he was in the Russian military during the Cuban Missile Crisis, but he was also a radar guy. And Deacon mentored me over about 20 years in high voltage electronics and tube amps and everything to do with high voltage radar and all of that kind of stuff. And then I took mechanical engineering technology and did really well with that. And when I graduated with honors, the military approached me and I was drafted into a special Navy program. So I didn't finish the contract. I stayed probably long enough to learn what was truly going on. And in doing some Akashic readings with Rebecca Rose, a friend of mine who was part of the Montauk Project, actually, we realized that it was part of the secret space program. It would have been an SSP program, essentially. It would have been connected with William Tompkins and whatnot. So
Yeah.
I know Frank Chili, and I ended up being asked on the same radio show that the Jeff Rentz show that your father was on, and Frank Chili was on, and William Tompkins was on about 20 times and whatnot. And on there, I found out on the show that Paul LaViolette had been on the show, and also John Hutchison, right, who was supposed to be in here with us today, but he was having a hard time getting on the internet, so we're going to try and get him another time. So that was kind of my thing. And then after that, I did sound research where I built speakers and sound rooms and electronics, and then eventually started doing subquantum kinetics and whatnot. That's my connection to things.
Well, I need to, shower or move on and stuff. But if there's any specific questions for me, I'm happy to answer them and then
Yeah,
sign off.
does anybody have questions? This fusion thing I found out about today, that's fantastic. How long have you been doing that for?
Well, probably about 4 years, but we've raised maybe about $400,000, and have done a variety of experiments, but just recently submitted a couple papers for peer review.
Okay.
And so that
Wow.
the bottom line is that since you're outside mainstream fusion, you're not doing traditional stuff.
Yeah.
um, the investment community says, well, show me a working prototype, which no one on planet Earth has shown a working fusion gain prototype. And
Right.
they've been trying for the last 70 years, short of an atomic bomb. Um, and or show me, peer-reviewed literature that says that this has got a reasonable chance of working. So that's sort of
Oh, yeah.
been the problem.
I have a thought, actually, that maybe at some point I should get you and Chris Beskar together, because if he understands that you're actually working with a company on fusion,
So
he might.
just to make it clear for the audience, the hydrogen bomb, the hydrogen bomb is fusion. It's just they can't control it in the laboratory to make it usable energy for the general public. But the hydrogen bomb, another a type of atomic bomb, which is fusion, and the hydrogen bomb, which is the atomic bomb, which is fission, and the hydrogen bomb is fusion. But
Right.
Right.
they can't control it in the laboratory to make it usable energy for the general public.
Thanks, Brandon. That's for clarifying.
Yeah, and I know that there's companies using pressure and like sound to compress things. Are you doing that, or like how are you doing it?
No, it's not ultrasonic. Our approach is that you create a very concentrated. I mean, you go to our website, you know, uh, electricfusionsystems.com, and just
Awesomely
type
well.
in your questions into the AI bot,
Yes.
and it'll tell you exactly how it works. But in short, you use this dense liquid lithium ammonia fuel at a high molar concentration and put in a xenon environment and put
Okay.
electrical arcs through it, and you fuse and fizzle, back and forth. So it's not like trying to contain the sun, which everybody's trying to do at
Right.
100 million degrees, which is ridiculous. We rip off a few atoms and fuse them and then collapse and back and forth and back and forth. So it's a cyclical, low temperature, um, you know, 100, 200, 300 C sort of
Okay.
environment
Wow.
at pressure. So
Yeah.
it's a different approach.
Wow, that is so cool. And again, I just learned about it today, so we will definitely dive into that. And the other thing I guess we should talk about, maybe Brendan can bring up, Ryan has the most awesome UFO AI, and it is only programmed with vetted information, right? Basically.
Right.
And
UFODEX.
yeah, tell us about it is amazing.
Yeah, UFODEX, UFODEX.com. So back when I was running the crash retrieval proceedings or conferences from in 2003 to 2008, I felt that intelligence dominance, in other words, how do you win the war against the bad guys? You focus on having better intelligence than everybody else.
Right,
And
yeah.
so I began to collect high quality books and scan them and OCR them, and do a traditional Google Mini type search back in the late 2000s. And I sort of put that project on hold until AI came along, and then I resurrected it. So ufodex.com, where you can just submit any question you want. And right now we're querying about 750,000 pages of UFO books, periodicals, um, very little web material, a lot of correspondence, um, a lot of FBI files, a lot of
Cool.
material from the National Archives. So there's a large collection of material, and people ask, well, what are the alien races? Why are they here? What's the agenda? Why does the government keep it secret? And all this spawned another book that I created called The AI Ufologist, which
Yep.
is on Amazon, which answers these questions. It's, $15 fun thing, short,
Gotta check it out. Yeah.
100 pages or something like that. And it it goes to the big questions that everybody asks. I'm reminded of Stan Friedman's why questions. Why are they here? What do they want? Dot, dot, dot.
Yep.
Um, but it also has a lot of physics data in it. It has some shoulders stuff. It has a lot of other
Yeah.
approaches to it has Tom Ballone's work and lots of different conference proceedings. It has all of the Babson, um, Chapel Hill gravity control papers
Oh,
that were
cool.
ever
Yeah.
submitted electronically.
Yeah.
Um, it was a bit of a pain to convert those to make sure that they were all OCR and readable, and so
Compatible. Yeah.
yeah, the process that I use is that you take the document and um, you get it so it's machine readable and optical character recognized, and then I run it through a dedicated RAG retrieval augmented um, generator to create a summary of every page along with the original data. And
Wow.
then that is used exclusively to answer people's questions. And then the um, the serve up engine, so to speak, or who writes the text based on the knowledge comes from ChatGPT. Um, but ChatGPT is just handed a block of data and says, deliver this in a um, cogent wording so to speak. So
Yeah.
it there's not much web-based material in there. There's a few podcasts from Jesse Michaels and from um, not from Rich Dolan and Linda Howe and other
Okay.
people,
Yeah.
sort of the higher quality names in
Vetted. Yeah.
ufology.
Yeah.
Um, and it keeps getting better. I'm sitting on, more batches and I got more material. I got all my father's material and my material. And um, so by the time I get to a million or a million and a half pages, I think we'll be close to done.
Oh, okay.
Because
So you're
there's a
halfway through.
limited amount of material in ufology. Um, uh, there's only like 3,000 books in ufology.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
and it's not like dentistry or something,
Yeah.
uh, where there's, it'll be 100 million pages or something. And a lot of it's old and rare and lost to people's bookshelves and garages, and that's the stuff that's really important.
So we have Carmen. I think Carmen's with us right now. Carmen has probably the most incredible collection of free energy stuff because her father was Bill Mueller, and Bill actually was at Peenemünde and saw the Nazi flying bell physically. And I knew him. He kind of mentored me back in the day, and I knew about charge clusters since the 80s, probably. And we were just talking before you joined the meeting about her collection and how awesome it was. We should probably put you guys in contact because she's got some really rare stuff, and she's met
Well,
everyone. Are
yeah,
you?
that's
Is Carmen
Can you hear
in?
me?
Yeah, there we go, Carmen. Yeah, yeah,
Hi, Ryan. Great to
hi.
meet you. I'm familiar with your father's work as well. I think we're kind of living a bit of a parallel life as we both re-engage with this field subject matter. All the exact same things you've been talking about have been a part of my life for over 50 years. I noticed you're wearing an Iron Man t-shirt or sweatshirt.
that's right.
Yes,
Um,
that's
Way to
Ironman
go.
Santa Cruz. So was last weekend.
Excellent. Well, you might be familiar with our area. We're in Penticton, British Columbia, where Ironman was famous for many, many years.
Yeah,
We
Oh,
just lost the contract a couple of years ago, so people who would qualify here would then go on to Kona.
yeah, Hawaii. Yeah,
yeah.
Yeah. So, anyways, I have I'm sure if you Google a little, you'll really see how beautiful our area is for having had host, been able to host
Oh, yeah.
Ironman in the past. Where are you located, Ryan?
Colorado.
In
Uh,
Colorado. Very good.
uh, Basically Boulder, Colorado.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I have been there as well, talking with JW McGinnis. He was the head of Tesla Tech until he passed away. And he lived in Boulder, Colorado, as well as a gentleman named Vernon Roth, who also does some hydrogen experiments. You might know that name. He was recently on Tesla Tech. Yeah, my history goes really way back to all of these gentlemen. Um, and my father was a magnet motor generator developer. So he, often spoke of all of these different old masters, and I learned a lot over my years, sort of more than I appreciated as I started to share with other people.
mhm,
Really, just it's such a vast collection that I have here, and it's not often that people like you and I are able to keep their parents' collections together. It often gets lost and
mhm.
fought over, and just really. Great job that you're doing to keeping your dad's work alive. Um, so having said that, some of the comments I wanted to make and a couple questions I had for you, Ryan, were you are likely familiar with Bob Greenyer's work as well?
Oh yeah.
Okay, excellent. Um, he was recently at my house in December, along with Jean Manning and a few other people I brought together just as a bit of a meeting of the minds. Um, which was fairly successful in all areas just to kind of network. And just sort of re-engage people to let them know what I do have in my basement and that I would like to archive it and distribute it freely to everyone. I just uploaded a document, a link to a document by Kavya Valuri, and she's a researcher in India that is translating all of the old Vimana Shastra documents regarding the ancient Vedic technology. So, Ryan, you might be very interested in the points she's put together and how historically in the Vimanas they are describing exactly what's happening with UFO technology today. So that's a really, I think it's 16 pages. I was in the middle of reading it before I joined you guys this morning. Super interesting, super relevant to all of our discussions. So the link is in the description here of our group. I also put it in the other group on Signal yesterday and again today because it is very important for any of you who haven't watched it. Um, and yes, that was basically a couple of the points I just wanted to make.
Um, Carmen, what about Rho Sigma? We were just talking about that. Could you explain your connection to that?
Well, with Rolf Shafranky and his book Ether Technology, we had a very close connection. He even thought we lived together in a past life. I was an Egyptian priestess, and I had helped him in a past life as just a commoner and a slave. And I helped maybe his whole community and treated them well. So he
Wow.
felt like in this lifetime we had a connection that he needed to help me in this life. And um, that's interesting because I found these documents about 40 years after they had originally been written. And so much of my parents' history in the basement is all related to every one of the gentlemen spoken about, Tom Valone, Moray King, John Hutchison, John Searle. I know most of these people in my history. I've met them all personally.
Yeah.
Um, so I was one of the kids, a young 16-year-old girl that when all these people would come sit around my parents' kitchen table, I sat around and listened. I didn't go to the other room. I didn't just help my mom with coffee. I was grabbing paperwork for my dad, helping him be his other hands and
Yeah.
appendages when he needed them. So I was hands on since I was 15 or 16, even younger probably with my dad, helping him in the basement. But I never lost the bug after my dad passed away and my mom passed away quite young. So that really ended a lot of my dad's research because it was like he had lost a couple of his appendages when he lost her at 53. And he was 62, or pardon me, 64. He was 11 years older than her. So that took the wind out of his sails, and we had just kind of a trickle down for about 10 years. And then I had kids. He passed away. And then it took 10 years, this last 10 years, before I could really start picking up the pieces because my kids are old enough and out of the house.
Yeah.
And then I had the good fortune to arrive one day in Las Vegas on a
Oh,
holiday,
yes. Yes.
and my kids wanted T-shirts from the stupid TV show Pawn Stars, if you're familiar with that show. So,
Yeah.
it's just a bunch of degenerates in a rented building, getting their teeth done with their having to pay alimony to about four ex-wives each. Anyways, they are really boneheads in there. But the day that I happened to be there, a gentleman by the name of Bill Wysock came in. He was a Tesla coil builder, a famous Tesla coil builder who taught all of the Tesla coil builders that are proficient today in the art. He taught Jeff Parisi, who did all of the fear factor stuff. Anytime you've seen these Tesla coils in recent documentaries with Dr. Travis Taylor, They were done with at Skinwalker Ranch, or that guy, if you are familiar with him. Um,
Yeah.
Yep.
those were built by Cameron Prince, who runs the Tesla Universe website. So I'm really good friends with all those guys and interested very much, in early electrical history and primarily Nikola Tesla and his contributions. So I ended up with the guy, Bill Wysock, who was in the Pawn Stars pawn shop that day, happened to be selling or wanting to get exposure for. I don't think he expected them to buy it because all that's prearranged. He was really just trying to get exposure for it. And it's actually Nikola Tesla's first prototype on a rotary induction field, corresponding to his very first patent, 382279. So it was actually found at Cornell University, where Professor Anthony started the very first electrical engineering department at Cornell. It was
Didn't your
actually
father
found
go to
there.
Cornell, Ryan?
No,
Sorry to
no,
interrupt, but
no,
I
no.
think Ryan's father went to Cornell,
Oh,
didn't he?
Ryan's father. Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, it, in Cornell's history, the electrical engineering department was started by Professor Anthony, and back in 1888, before um, Tesla gave his famous speech to the American Association for, AIEE, for electrical engineers in Boston, or pardon me, I could be wrong about that. But when he gave that speech, he spoke of this induction motor, and um, Nikola Tesla was asked by Professor Anthony to come to speak to that group about these induction motors. And that's his famous speech to introduce his ideas on alternating current and how he developed this two-phase original AC motor. He had two different models, two different iterations, and we even found the letter from Belgrade where Professor Anthony asked Tesla to borrow that motor. So it
Mhm.
makes complete sense that Tesla would have said, "Oh, just keep it. I'm on to other things." He had also given one to Professor Ayrton, which now resides at the British Museum. So we feel like that our motor precedes that motor and should be recognized as the first rotary induction motor that was made by Anthony Szigeti based on his famous vision in Budapest, where he drew in the sand his idea and recited Goethe's Faust poem.
Yeah. So Carmen actually has that. They bought it from Bill, right?
Yeah, we bought it from Bill Wysock. So I have, for the last 15 years, been doing further research, and almost every Tesla author and historian agrees with me now.
That it's the
Well,
real
great.
thing.
So yes, so we would I just got a Tesla Cyber Beast, and I'm going to wrap it with the quest for Tesla, a QR code, build a website, and have
Cool.
people really understand who Tesla was, what he contributed, and maybe they'll stop fingering these vehicles as they go by. Because it's a really, oh
Oh
my
God.
God, I had to
Yeah.
Google, why does everybody give you the thumbs down or a finger when you drive by in these things?
Yeah.
So, anyways,
Yeah.
that's kind of because it comes full circle. If you start to tell the early history story again, and you create the hype that this motor deserves, it is like when I plugged in my information and I asked Grok for it to confirm and give me references for all of my research. It spit it back out and was blown away. It told me, "Oh my God, you have found the invention of the century. This
Wow.
is better than finding Edison's light bulb. And it could be worth upwards of $30 million.
Well, put it up for auction. Get the
I
money.
want to, and I would like to
Yeah.
fund all other free energy researchers.
Yeah,
Yeah.
go
That's
for it.
that's the
Talk to
thing.
Sotheby's right away.
I'm actually in touch with It's not Sotheby's, it's a Heritage Auction House because they're located in New York. And I'm in touch with like the one of the owners, and they're chomping at the bit for me to come. But I'd like every bit of like I'd like to I haven't had a chance to approach all these people and ask for their endorsement. And I need more letters of endorsement and support. And I would before it ends up in some oligarchs, who knows where,
Yeah,
or, who knows where it will end up. I hope it finds its final resting place where, it will be actually seen by people, not in the Smithsonian and be
yeah,
lost to forever. Elon Musk has divested himself of most of his collections of things, but I think possibly he should still showcase it. It might give him some redeeming qualities right now, too, amongst the
yeah,
masses. So if he were to endorse that and help us come back full circle somehow to um, free energy, because it's our birthright. It's the only thing that's going to change and save our civilization.
yeah. Carmen, I had a thought. You should maybe try and that thing that you sent into Grok. You should maybe try and put it into Ryan's. Um,
I
uh,
would love to do that.
yeah,
And again, you should really become familiar with Kavya Valuri's work. She has been working with Praveen Mohan. And
yeah,
again, the knowledge she's uncovered from the ancient Vedic texts as a aeronautical engineer, she has reinterpreted the texts more accurately than they were um, translated previously for academia.
Yeah.
So they are really more detailed now, and she has a very critical understanding and is so beyond, like, I think she's 35 or 36, but her father is also an electrical engineer. But she is just now going to start to come out. Ancient Aliens had her on for a brief little minute, and probably, like they do everyone, take her information out of context and don't really give her the credit where credit is due. But
yeah.
I'm sure you will hear her name mentioned more. I believe
Cool.
her information should go in your database. And
So,
I mean,
yeah.
I have more UFO books here that are out of print in my basement. When I started that, we were talking yesterday, I started a flotation location, which was a sensory deprivation tank business when I was younger. And then I had some people approach me and say, we're moving and we've collected all of these. They were Germans, and they were into Rudolf Steiner and into so many esoteric books, and they had many books on UFOs, and they aligned with my parents, and my parents had so many books that I created at that flotation place a lending library
Oh, wow.
of metaphysical books.
That's
So
cool.
I read many books. I floated after I read many books. I basically just had to sleep on the book like Edgar Casey,
Yep.
and I basically know the book. I do have a photographic memory, so I can kind of go in my basement and find any paper that my father had previously referred to. And my basement is full with um, so much correspondence between about anti-gravity, UFOs, uh, magnet motors, free energy, all of the people in the history of the field.
Yeah.
It's been collected by
Mm.
my parents. And Jean Manning, if you're familiar with who Jean Manning is, Ryan, she wrote the
Not sure
book.
I am.
She wrote a few books on this subject matter. Angels Don't Play This Harp with Nick Begich. She wrote Breakthrough Power. She wrote Our Free
Yeah.
Energy Future, I think it's called, something like that.
Yeah.
A few. I'm sorry that they're not coming quite to mind, but
It's all right. I mean,
Yeah.
I
Jean
guess I
Manning
wanted to
started
maybe.
her career based on coming to my parents' home here. So, yeah,
Wow.
we work also closely together. And I was actually inputting that. She asked me to create a article, under 500 words. And so that's what I was originally asking Grok to do, was to take my, I don't know, 60, 70, 80 page document and distill it down And then I got down a rabbit hole because I kept asking Grok questions about, who would be interested, where would I flog this, how would I start, who do I contact? And it's so detailed. I have now a
Wow,
path,
that's
that
cool,
I could
Carmen.
run on and do my
Um,
own marathon trying to catch all the,
yeah,
um, you
I'm
know, red flags along the way that I can help. People
yeah,
with their shorten their learning curve in this subject. If we get this information out there for people to be able to digest, I think it's a huge chunk of missing links that
yeah,
my dad has
definitely.
here.
Brian, I have a question for you. Can you talk about the burn memo? Because it was you and your father. Like when I first learned about you, I realized that you were called the world leading authentic document. Um,
Yeah. My expertise is in document authentication, leaked, government classified, MJ12, majestic
Mm,
documents. I run the majesticdocuments.com website.
yep,
Anything
wow.
that had to do with that, as well as the special operations manual, as well as my
yep,
book on crash retrievals, dot, dot, dot. But the burn memo is one of many leaked memos. It happens to be a series of directives. For a variety of different operations from the counterintelligence office of James Jesus Angleton. Um, the most stunning aspect is, um, I think it says, if conditions aren't conducive to continued progress, assumably in UFO development and reverse engineering, then then it should be wet,
that's right. Yep,
implying the assassination of JFK. Um, and there's lots of reasons why JFK could be assassinated, but you could add um, his knowledge and motivation to not get to another Bay of Pigs situation and asking the head of NASA, Webb at the time, to open the kimono and share everything with the Russians. Um,
that's right.
but
Yeah.
it's just circling back to Euphodex and Carmen's comments. Carmen, I don't read all this stuff. I mean, and I'm pretty ruthless about the material, and the books are destroyed. So I bandsaw the spines off and feed it through a high-speed scanner
Oh,
and
wow.
put it into the system. Um, and I'm still 30 boxes behind. And I need a
Wow.
full-time uh, $25 an hour person to help me with this scanning process. And your basement, I'm sure, is bigger than mine, and has the same challenge. So I'm happy to accept any emails for documents, but I don't read them. I put them in the data set, and when I ask a question, I get an answer that
Excellent.
is, I'm tuned into. And um, so
Um,
that's really my
I
approach.
I have a question. The how I actually got in contact with Ryan kind of was I had sent a package to your father, and it was new aerospace technologies, my notes on Paul Laviolette and anti-gravity, Stavati Aerospace, and it ended up at your place, and then you passed it on to your father. And I'll never forget how happy he was because he sent me an email and saying he was so glad that he had got this information. It was very hard information to get and whatnot. But you had actually got it and then passed it on to him because it was
Yeah,
your address that I sent it to. So that's, yeah.
yeah. I
Um,
mean, for
but my
for
question is that information in your AI?
yeah,
Oh, cool. Okay,
yeah.
cool. Right
Um,
on.
I mean, there's, I don't know, 3,500 file names, um,
Wow.
and at least 800 of them are books. You know,
Yeah.
um, so those are, it's just surprising how robust the answers are. Um,
Yeah.
and
Definitely, because I've done a few things with you now, and the one that I did when John Hutchison, we were expecting John to join, but he couldn't. We were going to go through and show some of the stuff that it came up with. But I've also done ones on charge clusters a couple times now, because Lacey did one and then I redid it. Because what I did is, remember, I gave you the file, that big file from Ken Shoulder's work that Chris Beskar gave me. And I asked exactly the same question that Lacey asked, because I was with her when she did that. And it actually came up with different results. So that's kind of interesting. That means that it's learning, right?
Well,
As it should
it
be.
certainly has a different set of knowledge than standard GPT. You know, if you have the pro version at $200 a month, which I don't, you can do lots of things in creating a dedicated silo.
Yeah. Well, it's so wonderful that you're actually doing this, and also your father's information, because your father worked at Douglas Aircraft Company. He had a PhD in aeronautics, right?
No, in physics.
Oh, in physics. Okay.
In physics with a bachelor's degree from University of Colorado in aeronautical engineering.
Okay.
But you know, there's lots to say about my father, but I guess the thing that's relevant to this conversation is that in 1967 or so, he got funding from the Douglas Aircraft to do a research on gravity and
Oh,
gravity control.
wow. I didn't know
Um,
that.
And this is part of the boys in the back room effort. And so he had the equivalent of $5 million at the time.
Wow.
And they did theoretical work, they did physical experiments with spinning magnetic fields. They had people out in the Mojave Desert trying to capture data on flying saucers. They had a mobile van. They did regression hypnosis on abductees.
Cool.
It was sort of a broad spectrum, all in the 67, 68, 69 timeframe.
Great. Wow. That's cool. I'm also a contactee. I won't talk about it much here, but yeah, that's probably where it all
Well,
started for me.
yeah, I need to go.
Okay.
But
Very cool. Well, thank you
you for the opportunity.
yeah,
Thank you, Ryan.
Thank
definitely.
you, Ryan.
Nice to meet you. Have a wonderful rest of the day. Take care.
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely. Yeah,
Cheers.
thank you. Definitely. And it's amazing. Well, that was cool. So it's good that we didn't start the recording until we did, right? So yeah, we'll try and get John Hutchison back, and it's good that we only have one at a time too, because I hadn't planned on three of them actually being in one meeting. So we'll get John again, and Chip will work on Moray for sure. So we'll do that. So we should probably wrap it up because we've been here for quite a while. We were off camera talking for hours, and
Yeah,
thank you for
that's
everyone.
awesome. That was pretty awesome. I mean, an interesting one to listen to again.
Yeah, and I think that Carmen, being connected to him now, is going to produce some results, because she has stuff that is very rare. And it's just the stuff that he's after, essentially, right? Unfortunately, you have to destroy the books kind of to feed it in there. So you'd have to get electronic files to him. Would be the best thing somehow. Yeah. Okay, well,
Yeah, it's easy to scan nowadays with your phones. You can just hover
yeah,
over the page. So, just depending on how labor intensive that is. I have also been trying to kind of put the call out there for anybody that A, wants to learn, and B, kind of wants to get paid about that much money or have a place to stay and be able to scan and learn,
wow.
just have like a mini job of just that, just scanning the information. If I had somebody that I could
That's
trust, that I could leave
cool.
in the basement to do that. I do have a couple of people that I have in mind for that have offered. It's
Yeah.
just going to be timing for me,
Mhm.
so I can be available at the same time.
Yeah, well, that's amazing, Carmen. Very amazing. Yeah, because all this information is very quite rare and needs to be rounded up. And I think that Ryan's UFO AI is awesome. Literally, he said there's like 750,000 in there. It's about half full, I guess, is what he's trying to say.
Well, I would love to share that information with him at any time.
His email
And if
in
we
the
could
chat.
increase his database, there's already there's a dump site. So if I know now that I can get some of that copied, or if any of it that I think is relevant that I already have in digital form that I could share, I
Yeah,
would certainly be so inclined.
very cool. Very cool. Okay, well, thank you everyone for joining us. Ken Shoulders number 35. This is amazing, and we'll try and work on John and Moray in other meetings as well. So thank you again, everyone, for being here.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I hope you have a wonderful rest of the day and the following week as well.
Yes.
Yeah,
Wishing you
definitely,
that too. Thanks again, Brendan, for all your work always to coordinate us.
Thank
definitely,
you, and you too as well.
absolutely. He works very hard.
Yeah, we appreciate you, and I appreciate being part of this group.
We appreciate
Thank you
you
very
too,
much.
and everyone that's in the group here as well too. There's a whole bunch of us, I think. Hey,
Yeah, well, great, everyone, and look forward to the next time.
yeah, for sure. Okay,
Cheers.
will you shut the recording off, Brendan?
Yeah, when I yeah, I'll shut the recording off.
Yeah.